So I have some news about this slush fund that Donald Trump has ordered the IRS to create to pay off all of his friends who committed crimes on his behalf and then faced consequences for those crimes. Yesterday, I got a message from someone on LinkedIn saying that they were with some quasi-governmental agency that deals with cyber violence and has a bunch of law enforcement connections. And they said they needed a DC barred attorney to help with some discrete projects. This is a weird message, very weird. And I am an attorney. I'm licensed in DC Superior Court, in DC federal courts, and other places. And so I was curious, and I said, sure, give me a call. When I took the caller immediately started back into the same spiel and said she was a subject matter expert on cyber violence against people in leadership, which was a bit of a tell. But I quickly figured out this is that slush fund. They are trying to pay off all these people. They're planning this out, and they need an attorney to sign off on all of it. I did not have the chance to tell them to politely go fuck themselves, because before I could, they figured out on the call who I was. She was talking, and then she stopped, and she said, "Oh, I see you've made statements that were critical of, like, some strong statements about Kash Patel, and we do work with the administration. That is what this is. Is this going to be a problem?" And so then, of course, I had the joy of saying, there is not an amount of money that you could pay me to get me to go along with your grift. This is a hard moral and ethical conflict for me, and no, this would not work out, and I stand by whatever I said about the FBI director. What's particularly funny is I think this is the comment that tipped them off, because Kash Patel was simultaneously saying that we support the Second Amendment, but also you can't bring firearms to protests. Like, that's the whole Second Amendment, First Amendment thing. That's like the core thing. And I called him a fascist enabler, which, again, I stand by. But it's hilarious that it was gun rights, the one thing that you might think I might agree with Republicans on. Sometimes that was the thing that the Trump administration can't stomach about me. And then she got all whiny, like, "Oh, why are we so divided? How come can't we just have differences of opinion and still do good work together? That's not what this nation is supposed to be about." And I said, yeah, it's really unfortunate, but it's not hard to understand, because when you put the most corrupt group of people in the history of this country in charge of the country, and they are doing things that harm Americans and are just trying to enrich themselves, then no, we're not just going to sit by and act like it's business as usual, but good luck to you. And I hung up. The funny thing here is they're just like reaching out to some random person on LinkedIn